it's your girl Michelle here. We are back for Horror Book Haul Part 2. So as you guys can probably guess, I have a fucking addiction to buying books because obviously I can eat and drink books and wear them. I don't need essential things, I just need books. Anyway, for those of you who have not figured out that I'm slowly kind of transitioning into a booktuber, and I didn't even realize I was doing it until recently when I looked back at all my videos and was like, damn, they're all about books and stuff. So today I'm going to be hauling quite a few books. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible so y'all don't have to sit there and hear me ramble for half a fucking hour again. But there are quite a few of them here, so let's just dive right in, shall we? So the first book I'm going to haul, I'm not entirely sure if it actually even falls into the realm of horror. I just found it at a little thrift store, and that is Violin by Anne Rice. I love Anne Rice. I don't necessarily classify what she does as horror. A lot of it to me is more like gothic literature. But let's see what this is about, because honestly I don't even know. It just looked cool and it was by Anne Rice. So I was like, and it was $2 for a hardback. Again, I have a problem. In the grand manner of Interview with the Vampire, Anne Rice's new novel moves across time and the continents, from 19th century Vienna to a St. Charles Greek revival mansion in present-day New Orleans, to the dazzling capitals of the modern-day world, telling a story of two charismatic figures bound to each other by a passionate commitment to music as a means of rapture, seduction, and liberation. At the novel's center, a uniquely fascinating woman, Triana, who once dreamed of becoming a great musician, and the demonic fiddler Stefan, tormented ghost of a Russian aristocrat who begins to prey upon her, using his magic violin first to enchant, then to dominate and draw her into a state of madness through the music she loves. But Triana understands the power of the music perhaps even more than does Stefan, and she sets out to resist Stefan and to fight not only for her sanity but for her life. The struggle draws them both into a terrifying supernatural realm where they find themselves surrounded by memories, by horrors, and by overwhelming truths. Battling desperately, they are at last propelled towards the novel's astonishing and unforgettable climax. Violin is crowded with the history, the drama, the invention, and the romantic intensity that have become synonymous with Anne Rice at her incomparable best. So yeah, to me this is more of like a dark, gothic lit type book. You know, we have a little bit of romance, we have obsession, we have domination, all the good creepy creeps. So yeah, I'm intrigued by this. I'll let you know if there's anything remotely scary about it, but if not, if you're like me and do enjoy a dark fantasy or a dark romance, I'll let you know what I think. Onward to the next one. I just picked this one up and I don't care what anyone says. I'm super, super excited about it. And that is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. So I have been watching a lot of booktubers, obviously, and following a lot of bookstagrammers, obviously. And this book has a lot of mixed reviews. There's some who love it, some who hate it, some are just kind of like, eh. But once I read the synopsis and I heard other people talk about the book overall, I knew I had to try it for myself. I just have to. Anyway, so let's go over the synopsis of this real quick and then I will move right along. Seamlessly blending classic horror and a dramatic narrative with sharp social commentary, The Only Good Indians follows 4 American Indian men after a disturbing event from their youth puts them in a desperate struggle for their lives. Tracked by an entity bent on retribution, these childhood friends are helpless as the culture and traditions they left behind catch up to them in a violent, vengeful way. I love it. I love it. I love it because there's some cultural diversity to this book, and for those of us who are obsessed and love horror, we love to see that. Because for too long, horror has been nothing but just that bone dry white American type mentality. And I'm not saying I dislike that. I mean, it's great. Horror is horror. It's just I like to see horror from other cultural perspectives, if that makes any kind of sense at all. So I'm excited about this. I've heard mixed reviews, so I will obviously do a book review of my own once I'm done with it, which who knows when that will be. But yeah, very, very excited about this one. Next up, I finally did it. I finally bought The Shining by Stephen King. I've actually never read this book. How the fuck have I never read The Shining? I don't know, because it is one of my all-time favorite movie adaptations of a Stephen King novel. So I love The Shining, the movie. I absolutely adore it. I like Dr. Sleep a lot, which apparently is kind of like a haphazard sequel to this book. But I love this edition too, because it's like floppy. And if you're a booktuber, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. This, being able to just flop a book open, I love that. I love that. And I really enjoy, even though it's like a mass production paperback, I like it. I think it's cool. So let me just read you the synopsis real quick, as you probably already know what the synopsis is. It says, Jack Torrance's new job at the Overlook Hotel is the perfect chance for a fresh start. As the off-season caretaker at the atmospheric old hotel, he'll have plenty of time to spend reconnecting with his family and working on his writing. But as the harsh winter weather sets in, the idyllic location feels ever more remote and more sinister, and the only one to notice the strange and terrible forces gathering around the Overlook is Danny Torrance, a uniquely gifted 5-year-old. We all know the story, but I have a feeling that just like with it, this book is going to take me so much deeper into the actual story, and I'm hoping that I love it. Next, I went on an absolute Adam Neville kick, and I ended up getting The Reddening. I have seen this book here and there. I've had some people say they love it. I've heard some people say that they were just kind of like, whatever. I'm a little perturbed because this one got a little beat up, you know, in the shipping. Some of the pages got a little warped. Not like warped, but just kind of like a little fucked up. So I was a little sad because, I mean, if you're as obsessed with books as I am, or getting anything in the mail really, when it comes in slightly damaged, you just kind of like cry inside a little bit. But anyway, this book is again with Adam Neville. I bought this book around the same time as I bought The Ritual, which I hauled in the first part of this long ass horror book haul. First of all, just look at that cover. I was allowed to buy this book just based on the cover, because look at it. I mean, get off me. But just listen to the synopsis and then you tell me if you think it's worth it. 1 million years of evolution didn't change our nature, nor did it bury the horrors predating civilization. Ancient rites, old deities, and savage ways can reappear in the places you least expect. Lifestyle journalist Katrine, I'm assuming, escaped past traumas by moving to a coast renowned for seaside holidays and natural beauty, but when a vast horde of human remains and prehistoric artifacts is discovered in nearby Brickburg, a hideous shadow engulfs her life. Helene, a disillusioned lone parent, lost her brother Lincoln 6 years ago. Disturbing subterranean noises he recorded prior to vanishing draw her to Brickburg's cave, a site where early humans butchered each other across 60,000 years. Upon the walls, images of their nameless gods remain. Amidst rumors of drug plantations and new sightings of the mythical Red Folk, it also appears that the Inquisitive have been disappearing from this remote part of the world for years. A rural ideal where outsiders are unwelcome and where an infernal power is believed to linger beneath the earth. A timeless supernormal influence. I can't believe he says supernormal instead of supernatural, whatever. A timeless supernormal influence that only the desperate would dream of confronting. But to save themselves and those they love and to thwart a crimson tide of pitiless barbarity, Kat and Helene are given no choice. They were involved and condemned before they knew it. I'm all about it. I'm all freaking about it. Like right now I'm a little over halfway through the ritual, and there's a lot of like ancient cultural and spiritual practices kind of involved in that book as well. So I really like this. Like I love diving into folklore. I love diving into like ancient cultures and kind of bringing a horror element to that. So that's really exciting. So I'm excited to pick this one up. And if the monster looks anything like this, then I know I won't be disappointed. So as we go next, if you've watched the part 1 to this haul, if not, I'll link it up here. You'll know that I have been collecting, in a sort of way, all of the Ed and Lorraine books that they did. I believe there's at least 6 of them in kind of a series of sorts. And this is one of them as well. It is called Satan's Harvest. So just yes about all of this, okay? So these books are written in kind of a non-fiction light because Ed and Lorraine Warren were renowned demonologists, and they believed everything that they said to be true. So they're retelling these stories as if that they actually happened, because they believe that the events in these books did take place. Whether you believe that or not is up to you. I would like to believe that they're true, but then again, like I said in part 1, I have no freaking clue. No idea. But I do love reading about the stories. So let's read the synopsis of Satan's Harvest real quick. It says, the full story of the shocking true case of demonic possession, first covered in the Boston Herald and brought to the big screen, featuring real exorcism footage in the blockbuster horror film The Conjuring. When terrifying, bizarre things kept happening to a hard-working Massachusetts farmer, he sought help from the local police chief, his priest, and ultimately Ed and Lorraine Warren, the world's most famous demonologists and investigators of the Amityville Horror and other terrifying cases of supernatural possession. It was the Warrens who called in one of America's most renowned exorcists, Bishop Robert McKenna, and joined him in the battle against evil, chronicled in this absolutely terrifying, absolutely true account. So apparently this is actually the real life story, or the true account that the first Conjuring was based upon, if I'm reading that right. So that's going to be really interesting, because I have always wondered about that. I've always wondered like how much liberty Hollywood is really taking with these stories. So that's going to be fun. The next one is yet another Stephen King novel. I had to because of this cover. Just look. Just look at it. Just freaking look. Christine. This is a story that Stephen King has done that I often find myself forgetting about. I saw the movie Christine way back in childhood. I know I don't look that old, but I feel old. So I saw Christine probably when I was around 10 or 11. It wasn't a super terrifying movie or anything like that, but you know, it definitely had a huge creep factor. Killer car. I saw this sitting on the shelf of a local bookstore, and I was just looking at it and I was like, you know what? A, this cover is beautiful, and B, just like any Stephen King movie adaptation, I bet with this big old chunker, there is so much more to that story than was shown in the movie. And so I did kind of a deep dive, and I looked at other booktubers' opinions on it, and everyone said they actually really enjoyed it, from what I've seen. So I'm gonna give it a try one of these days, hopefully sooner rather than later. But if you don't know the synopsis of Christine, let me just tell you. It's love at first sight for high school student Arnie Cunningham when he and his best friend Dennis Gilder spot the dilapidated 1958 red and white Plymouth Fury for sale, dubbed Christine by its original cantankerous owner, resting away on a front lawn of their suburban Pennsylvania neighborhood. Dennis knows that Arnie's never had much luck in the popularity department or really taken an interest in owning a car, but Christine quickly changes all that. Arnie suddenly has the newfound confidence to stick up for himself, going as far as dating the most beautiful girl at Libertyville High, transfer student Leigh Cabot, even as a mysteriously restored Christine systematically and terrifyingly consumes every aspect of Arnie's life. Dennis and Leigh soon realize, or is it Lee? Soon realize that they must uncover the awful truth behind a car with a horrifying and murderous history. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and heaven help anyone who gets in Christine's way. So yeah, hell yeah. Who wouldn't want them? All right, we just have a couple more, I promise. So the next one I have is also from more of a nonfiction standpoint, and that is Playing with Fire by Billy Hallowell. So the subtitle says, A Modern Investigation into Demons, Exorcism, and Ghosts. If you've watched any of my videos on this channel, you know I have a sick and sordid obsession with all things demonology. So this little read, I picked up at Walmart of all places. I have literally never seen a book on demonology at Walmart. So this has actually been on my to get list for a while. So I ended up snagging it when I could. So the synopsis says, join investigative reporter Billy Hallowell as he delves into the strange phenomena of supernatural activity. Themes of demonic possession, exorcism, and ghosts have overtaken Hollywood, with countless films and TV shows delving into the age-old struggle against evil. But the question is, why? Even with so much focus on the topic, there seems to be very little public knowledge and discussion about the theology and real-life claims surrounding demons. Quite often, many people remain silent about their experiences or resort to quietly whispering about what they've seen, heard, or felt for fear of being labeled as crazy. The truth is, even pastors, priests, and clergy who have observed first-hand accounts of possession and deliverance can succumb to the strange and terrifying effects of intense spiritual warfare. So yeah, this just screams demonology in every form and fashion. So yeah, I will probably be reading that very soon as well, and doing hopefully another demonology video on that. But we shall see. The next one is also falls within the same kind of realm. And that is I Conjure Thee, Thou Old Serpent. And this is literally called the Penguin Book of Exorcisms. So I found this book in an amazing little shop called The Witchery. And I have actually their little bookmark if you want to check them out. They're in Galveston, Texas. Me and my boyfriend went down there for like a little day's getaway, and we found them. And this was just sitting on a shelf waiting for me to grab it. It's a really tiny read, but the reason I had to get this book was because it actually has some very rarely documented ancient exorcism stories that a lot of people don't really know about. So obviously, me being obsessed with demonology, I had to have it because I have to know, right? So yeah, we're not going to even read the back because the back looks like a book in and of itself. But let's just say this dives into real life stories of exorcisms all over the world. From Africa to China to America to Canada to anything you can think of. There you go. And last but not least, I am so happy to report that I now have Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I'm so glad I got this book because honestly, I'm not the biggest manga fan. And it's really hard for me to say manga because being a Texan, I really just want to say manga. I really do. I want to say it. But anyway, I'm not a huge manga fan. Really, the only manga that I have been buying religiously is Beastars because that's the first manga series I've seen that I just love so much I have to own a copy. But recently I've been kind of diving into dark fantasy type manga and horror manga. And when I started seeing all these different booktubers mention this book and repeatedly bringing up Junji Ito's name, I realized very quickly that he's the forerunner when it comes to horror manga. So this is Uzumaki. So I'm not really going to go into detail about what all this book is about because obviously like a spiral into horror has something to do with spirals. I don't want to ruin it for myself because I haven't even started it yet. My boyfriend did, which is why there's a bookmark in it. I've listened to what other booktubers have said about this book, but I kind of want to go into it with just an open mind and just wing it and see how I like it. And if I really like it, then I am planning on buying his other works because I already flipped through it and looked at the artwork. The artwork in and of itself is worth buying it, in my opinion. But hopefully the storyline will hold up and I will review it once I'm done with it. So yes, back for part 2, and we're not even done. There will definitely be many parts to this in the future. because again, I can't seem to stop. And I don't really want to, so there's that. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me on this lovely horror book haul part 2. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. If you are interested in any of these books or have any book recommendations for me, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share the video with your booktubing buddies, and I'll see you guys next time.